Matt Padarini here with the Nontraditional Pharmacist, and I'm joined today by Catherine Klein. Now, Catherine is the Director of Education Development and Outcomes at ASHP, so a pretty interesting role. And for today, she's going to give us an overview of that role and highlight some of what pharmacists are doing at ASHP, and then maybe even hear about some of the opportunities that are available to you if you're looking to decide on a career or maybe even decide on a potential career change. So welcome, Catherine. Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
So let's start with an overview of ASHP as an organization, because for some of those that are unfamiliar may not have a good idea of what the organization does. So if you could give a brief overview of what ASHP is all about.
Okay, well, ASHP is a pharmacy association made primarily the members are health system pharmacists, pharmacists in ambulatory care, and those sorts of settings. We have about 40,000 members. The staff is located in Bethesda, Maryland, in the DC area, where there are a lot of pharmacy associations. So APHA is there, the Academy of Managed Care Pharmacy is there, the National Association of Chain Store Associations, and actually all those groups get together, the senior leadership teams, they all meet on a regular basis. So all the pharmacy associations are in touch with each other pretty regularly because there are a lot of issues that affect all pharmacists, and they want to have some representation in the DC area.
What interests should students have if they're looking to be involved with ASHP?
The residency programs that ASHP offers is of interest to many, many students. So our mid-year clinical meeting, which has 23,000 pharmacists, is a prime place to make contacts for residencies, interview. There's a personal placement service, all kinds of things. And we have a big student presence at our meeting, which was just held in December.
That's kind of my understanding of it. But it sounds like there's some other interesting opportunities available at ASHP itself. So if you could maybe expand on your particular role, that would be great.
Okay, well, so I've been there almost 32 years. So I've had 3 primary roles there. And let me just say, ASHP, the staff is 200, and 65 people on the staff are pharmacists. And that's a lot for an association. So when I started out, I was a assistant editor on AJHP, the journal, and at that time we also had a second journal called Clinical Pharmacy. I was on the staff for 12 and a half years, and then I was managing editor when I left. And then I moved to Michigan when my first daughter started school, and ASHP had started a business unit called ASHP Advantage, which basically does continuing education programs with commercial support. And a lot of print publications would come out of that, so like journal supplements, and since I've been the journal supplement editor before, it was, a nice fit. And the people who write manuscripts are often the same people who do a lot of the presentations around the country. So I did that for another 13 years. And then the proposal writing process to get the grants has gotten much, much more complex. So you really have to build a case for why there are educational gaps in certain areas and how your education that you're proposing is going to close those gaps. And so what I do right now is I write the background and needs assessment for the grants. My experience today, put me in a good position to be able to do that. And I can work remotely. So I've been a remote worker for almost 20 years.
Yeah, working remotely is definitely a nice perk. Is that play into your role right now as Director of Education Development and Outcomes at ASHP?
Well, ASHP had a lot of remote workers too. They've kind of been at the forefront of all these new technologies. And I actually had 2 students from University of Michigan come talk to me a couple of years ago. And while I think working at home is great, I could tell they were horrified at the thought of just being, they want the excitement on the floors in the hospital, and to think that you would be in an office in a home just did not appeal to them. But, they don't have children yet, so they may change their minds.
That's great. What about other roles of pharmacists at ASHP? What are pharmacists doing at ASHP?
Okay, so ASHP is a very big publisher. They've got, in addition to their journal, they have the formulary service. There's all sorts of books that they produce, and there are pharmacists involved in all those publications. 5 pharmacists on the journal staff. I don't know how many are on the formulary, up to 20, because they use a lot of pharmacist contractors. And then education is a big, big thing at ASHP. So for a meeting of 23,000, you can imagine the manpower that's needed to pull that off. And you know, there's pharmacists leading all the education in those areas. Plus, we have pharmacists, you know, who represent us on the Hill with legislative issues, and so we're on top of those. We also have lawyers to help us with that, but there just is a multitude of opportunities for pharmacists. And some of those you grow into, like you would start at an entry level at ASHP and find your path and interest and work your way up.
It's so cool to hear, because we don't often hear about opportunities for pharmacists in these professional organizations. You know, sure, they're great going through school and ways to network and learn about other opportunities, but having actual opportunities for jobs at these organizations is great. Is ASHP hiring for any of those specific jobs that you mentioned, or are there any other that you would like to highlight at ASHP?
Well, they've resurrected the executive residency program, and so a new graduate who is interested in exploring association management as a career would be encouraged to apply for this residency. So that person, when they're selected, I think it's not been, they haven't had one in like 10 years, but before that they'd had like 20 or more. And that person gets for a whole year to shadow all of the executive leadership of the senior leadership team in ASHP. So they get a taste of everything that ASHP does. And often, you know, throughout the years, there'll be an opening in an existing position. And a lot of times those people find their way onto the staff that way.
That's awesome. That's such a cool and unique opportunity. What advice would you give to people that are interested in maybe learning more or pursuing a path that you were just explaining?
Well, like, if someone is a student member of ASHP, they probably will see the ad for this residency. I also know that the Academy of Managed Care Pharmacists has some student internships. Somebody who wanted to find out about it could just start poking around and get the information pretty quickly. But it's you know, just a unique way of getting involved.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that I think everyone listening will be interested in learning more about, because like I said, you know, no matter what school you went to or what program you were involved with, we don't hear about this all the time. So it's definitely something new and exciting. And we're excited for everyone to learn more about it. And so, Catherine, thank you so much for your time today. We really encourage people that if they're interested in some of the roles and avenues that Catherine was explaining, to leave a comment on this post or reach out to us in our Connect section on www.thenontraditionalpharmacist.com. And we'll be happy to get back to you. And we're excited to talk to you further. And Catherine, thanks again. We look forward to talking to everyone next time. Take care for now. Bye.